Hello YouTube. Thought we'd try a little live streaming here. I got enough subscribers a while back and thought I'd give it a try. So anyway, we're going to feed our tree frog tadpoles. Um, Had them now almost 2 weeks, week and a half, something like that. They are growing really well. This is my 4th year, and I learned a little something. You can overfeed a tadpole. I'm feeding this reptile floating food sticks, and this is a koi kind of food. It's basically like a vegetable type stuff, and then just regular fish flakes. Feed them kind of a combination of the three. But anyway, I was feeding the floating fish sticks, or the reptile sticks, and I noticed they were floating upside down, several of them, and I was afraid I'd kill them, but it turns out they were just so freaking fat, they were so buoyant, they could barely stay in their upright position. But anyway, so that was yesterday, and I've just gave them a little bit of food at noontime and just a little bit this morning, and they have kind of returned to their normal upright self. So anyway, I do feel a little bit bad, but I don't think any of them died, and anyway, so let's give them a little feed and see what happens. Starts out kind of slow and then it picks up. And again, these are just called pond sticks. They're like a koi and carp kind of thing. I'm guessing it's all vegetable, and they really like them a lot. But they also like the high protein. I'm guessing high protein of the reptile sticks as well. Open this without spilling it. Put a few more of these in. And this looks like a lot, but there's actually a few, well, I think maybe several hundred tadpoles in here. They are dense all the way to the bottom of the barrel, basically. And they can consume this whole mess in just probably 10 minutes or so. There's one floating upside down there. I lost him. I will do just a little of these. I've always thought of tadpoles as like these cute little things you would see in the mud puddles as a kid. And after helping several of them, I've determined they're actually just wicked, vicious omnivores. They are unbelievably aggressive eaters. And they're a little more mild when they're older. But say about 5 days ago, if they got a little bit hungry, they would just immediately start eating each other, just instantly. There's a whole mass of them right there. They really get fired up for this stuff. These literally are less than 2 weeks old. Would have to check, but somewhere around a week and a half to 2 weeks old. They went from something the size of a piece of pepper floating on top to this. There are a few younger generation in here, but I believe the second hatching was consumed by these guys right here. Normally I can get 2 or even 3 or 4 hatchings in one tub, but in years past I used a tote with a lot more space and a couple of other barrels scattered out to capture them. I think we'll go to a bigger tote for next season. The water quality is kind of a pain. So what I do to manage the water is we run this filter. I'll run it a few hours at a time. There's not a filter in it now, but to kind of keep the water clean, and you oxygenate it just a little bit. But basically they don't like a current. It needs to be fairly calm, and you can have problems if you give too much filter time. So I'll run the filter until the water gets just too nasty, and then we've strained it out and put it into buckets, and we put it on our strawberries and flowers and things like that, the water, basically like a fertilizer kind of water. And it's a good place to go with it. It can be a little stinky, but the tadpoles, there's just really no way to actively filter the water if you had some sort of an underground or like a bottom of the tank kind of thing where there was no current, you'd be okay. But even just running the aerator causes enough current, you can tell they don't like it. But anyway, they'll eat those down to where they look like little barbells. There was a tadpole there on his back. This afternoon I had about 50 or 60, well this morning, I had about 50 or 60% of them that were on their back, and they just kept staying there. They were able to turn over, but they had to basically force themselves over to be upright. Anyway, this is what it looks like, the feedings. Every time you feed them, this is kind of how they get. I'm not sure how many. I've kind of tried to count a little bit, but there's really no way. They really never stop moving either. They're constantly looking for more food, even if they've got a belly full. They'll eat the quality issues control. You'll have the sides of the tank will just be spotlessly clean, where they eat everything that's in the water. Bugs that fall in overnight, they eat those. But anyway, that's the my first live stream. We'll see how this goes. I've never done it before, and we'll check it out. Thanks for watching.